for honoring us with her presence. At this very moment, we declare member of this institution to the President, and I appreciate your applause.
As well as for the very kind welcome to such a renowned institution. It is an honor to speak here and at one of the best think tanks in Latin America and among the top 200 in the world. With such an impressive track record of speakers and contributors, prominent world leaders and thinkers, movers and shakers, I'm not surprised that CARI is recognized globally and locally for its achievements. With such high-quality programs, especially in international relations and diplomacy, committed to achieving excellence in creating space for free thinkers, you truly are a global organization with global impact. Former UN Secretary General Presidente designated CARI as a messenger of peace, and I don't think I could add much to that. It is truly an honor to deliver my remarks here today regarding Latin America within the multidimensional approach of Croatia's foreign policy. First, I will outline some of the aspects of Croatia's foreign policy. I will discuss our immediate neighborhood, the Southeast Europe, and the importance of the credible EU perspective and the Euro-Atlantic perspective for this integral part of Europe. Then, I would like to share my views on the future of the European Union and the necessity for stronger cohesion of Central Europe, as well as the connection to the Peace Initiative. And lastly, I will highlight the importance of the transatlantic bond that the U.S. led, especially with Latin America, and this relationship as we see it in the future. As friends and strategic partners, I'm confident that Croatia and Argentina, as well as Latin American countries, largely see eye to eye on the issues that I have mentioned. We have a great potential for even stronger cooperation in all of these fields. First of all, let me talk about Southeast Europe. Indeed, the special focus of Croatia's foreign policy belongs to our immediate neighborhood. Croatia attaches great importance to the stability, security, and prosperity of this area, which currently finds itself at the axis of today's major global security challenges. Once again, it has become a staging ground for the flexing of geopolitical muscle and competing interests. Let me be very clear. When speaking about Southeast Europe, I do consciously avoid the term Balkans or Western Balkans. I do appreciate and respect all those who consider themselves to be proud people from the Balkans. However, for me and for many other people, the term implies more than just a geographic designation. Unfortunately, it has the negative connotations of political instability, security, and internal fragmentation, which should be avoided. And thus, my preference for geographically more neutral terms, Southeast Europe, because unfortunately, not too many want Balkans in their midst and their family, and I think that it's sort of a psychological barrier when it comes to further progress of the countries in the region to EU membership. Southeast Europe is of strategic importance for the entire European Union and NATO, and therefore Croatia will continue to provide strong support for the European and for Euro-Atlantic perspective of the whole area. I firmly believe that Euro-Atlantic integration is the only guarantee consolidate Europe and achieve stability, security, and development, Southeast Europe has to be incorporated. The EU may grow in the number of member states with the integration of Southeast Europe, but it will not be enlarged. Rather, it will be complete and consolidated. A mere promise of a distant prospect of EU and or NATO membership will not suffice for our neighboring countries anymore. The countries of Southeast Europe have been sitting in the Euro-Atlantic waiting room for far too long without any real progress. The strategic void has been gradually filled by third parties who may have some other vision for this part of our continent and the well-being of our states and peoples. Let me mention some examples. Ever since the inauguration of the bi-regional strategic partnership in 1999 at the first EU Latin American and Caribbean Summit in Rio de Janeiro, bi-regional cooperation has been marked by continued steady progress. By establishing CELAC, the Community of Latin American and Caribbean States, in 2011, it became the EU's main bi-regional cooperation and strategic partner. CELAC brings together all 33 Latin American and Caribbean countries. In this region, with over 20 million square kilometers, from Mexico in the north to Argentina and Chile in the south, there are about 600 million people, rich in natural resources, with 1/5 of the world's oil reserves, almost half of the planet's tropical forests, and just over 30% of the total fresh water. Unfortunately, even though almost 90% of the population over 50 is literate, almost a third lives in poverty. Therefore, the commitment of the EU and CELAC to our common goals, such as peace and security, the development of democracy and human rights, the suppression of poverty and socio-economic development, makes even more sense and has been confirmed by cooperation at the bi-regional, bilateral, and multilateral levels. Economic cooperation has intensified over the past 10 years, and the EU is currently the third trading partner behind the US and China, and the largest investor in CELAC countries. Furthermore, Croatia and the EU are aware of the possibilities of cooperation with the Pacific Alliance members, striving for trade integration at a global level. It offers a solid framework for cooperation, and that is why Croatia has requested and obtained observer status in the Pacific Alliance. By creating the Pacific Alliance, a new economic paradigm has emerged to overcome the depleted Latin American integration model from inward to outward. It is successfully advancing and attracting the most developed economies. Today, the common market in the South, Mercosur, is facing the same challenge, globalization. For the EU, it is clear that integration has no alternative if one wishes to enter global markets. The world's population is growing, connecting, producing, and consuming more and better than ever. In that climate, closed markets do not have a future. The alternative is to open outward by connecting with the world. The absence of an agreement between the EU and Mercosur is a political and commercial anomaly from the point of view of the EU, given that the EU has such agreements with all members of the Pacific Alliance, with Central America, and now with Ecuador. Following several years of standstill, political changes in Argentina and Brazil have given new impetus to negotiations, and we see Argentina as the leader in these efforts. This is good news not only for the region itself, but also for the European Union, and consequently for Croatia as its member. Therefore, the EU and Croatia continue to support all efforts to address the problems that certain countries have, most notably efforts for peace and stability in the region. Having said all that, Croatia is already quite active in Latin America. An EU member, but also bilaterally, Croatia wants to strengthen cooperation, and we're therefore very supportive of EU efforts to further stabilize the region, addressing challenges in individual countries, such as
Hi, I just finished my master's degrees in international relationships, and I did my thesis on Croatia and Argentina relationship. I just come back from Zagreb, actually, and it's crazy that I meet you here and not there, but and one of my key findings on my research was, why has the EU so much difficulties to get into agreements with Mercosur rather than Pacific Alliance? And as you said on your speech, Croatia is actually being incorporated in Pacific Alliance and state, and your position, Mercosur, has not been so strongly defined, right? So what do you think is the problems? Why can we get an agreement at EU level? Thanks.
Thank you very much. Sorry.
We go to some other, or you prefer to answer immediately?
I don't know how many
Well,
potential questions
do your
there are,
best.
so yes, well, thank you very much, and congratulations to you on your thesis. I'm sorry that we did not meet in Zagreb. I would love to talk to you, perhaps make a contribution to your thesis, but next time when you move to the next level. And thank you for the question. Indeed, when it comes to Mercosur and signing an agreement with Mercosur, Croatia is one of the countries who is really pushing for these agreements. I never call any country small. There are no small countries, but obviously we're only as big as we make ourselves. But obviously, geographically and in terms of the number of people, Croatia is not a big country, so we're not a big market. And in my opinion, Croatia's economy should rest first and foremost not on the pillar of tourism, which is a very volatile industry. It's good, it's welcome, it's wonderful. Croatia is a beautiful country. I invite you all to visit, by the way. And the
I
number
can
of
testify that.
the number of Argentinian tourists is on the rise, as a matter of fact. But the pillar of our economy should be exports that create jobs, and exports of goods of added value and of services of added value. And I see a lot of opportunities between Croatia and Argentina. We did sign some of the agreements, but then Croatia acceded into the EU in 2013, and there are some aspects of the agreements that need to be modified. But within the context of a Mercosur EU agreement, I think we would remove most of the obstacles that we have. So today, we had an economic forum between Croatian and Argentinian business people, and tonight we'll have a signing ceremony on an agreement between the Croatian Argentinian Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the Croatian Chamber of the Economy. And I hope that through these connections, through Croatian Argentinians, we will help our businesses to connect, because some of the difficulties are geographical distances, lack of knowledge of the Spanish language by the Croatian business people, but also the barriers to trade that we have seen, especially in the past. And this is why I very much welcome the policy of President Macri in opening Argentina up and in opening your economy. I understand that there are difficulties. There's always tendency towards protectionism, especially in agricultural industries. The same is with the European Union. Common policy is one of the most complicated, much criticized at the beginning. It's undergoing reform, but you still feel a lot of protectionism in that context. And I was just discussing that also with Argentinian counterparts. I was Croatia's chief negotiator for the so-called Protocol 7, which was a protocol that we had to sign with the European Union based on our stabilization and association agreement, so that's sort of associate membership or the road to candidacy agreement, an interim agreement before Croatia became a member state of the European Union. And that Protocol 7 was the result of the so-called fifth enlargement, when in 2004 and 2007, a number of new countries acceded to the EU. And Protocol 7 was on agriculture. It was a very tough agreement to negotiate.
Very well.
Because of certain elements, of certain areas such as baby beef, such as milk and cheese production, fisheries, etc. And these are all the areas where you also have difficulties in terms of negotiations with the European Union. So I can only encourage you to continue, always have a friend in Croatia, because for us, again, becoming a member state of a much bigger market of 500 million people in the European Union brings benefits to our businesses that we still have not used to the full potential. And with Mercosur, it would be an additional 200 million people. It would open a lot more possibilities and all of the aspects that we discussed today in the business forum, and that is in maritime transportation, in shipbuilding, in agricultural and food processing industry, pharmaceuticals, petrochemicals, construction, participating in the infrastructure projects here in Argentina, in the construction of roads and railways and railway cars, etc., IT technology, so numerous opportunities. What I hope is that the two sides, us, the European Union and Mercosur, will be able to give it a push and look at the difficult areas, try to find a balance between our respective interests, and also to try to overcome the most difficult aspects by creating transitional periods, because transitional periods are sometimes the way out of a complex situation where you can transition to, you give yourself a certain number of years to transition gradually or at some point in those aspects of the treaty that are so difficult at this point to face them. But I also see, honestly, the way out for Argentina, which is a much bigger country in terms of its size and the number of people than Croatia. It's you're opening up and removing the protective barriers, because then it will allow for the competitiveness of your industries worldwide, not just within Argentina. Thank you.
Aceptaríamos otra pregunta. De todas maneras, quisiera comentar que el Presidente de la República estaría muy feliz de haber escuchado a la Presidenta, porque acaba de hacer una explicación fundamental sobre todo el periodo transicional, que es el que políticamente se está discutiendo. But we have 15 years of the transitional period, and that's a good period, but at least, you know, all the interests are against some part and some other are pro some part, but your advice is very clear, and for us what is more encouraged is your experience about that and the positive balance of your effort. Thank you, Mr. President.
Kolinda Grabar-Kitarović from the University of Science. I'd like to ask you a question. You spoke about a multilateral, multidimensional, really set of policies Croatia is having this place. Do you have any policy about joint research among universities?
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you very much. Indeed, this is also one of the points on the agenda of cooperation between Croatia and Argentina. And it's one of the aspects of what I do whenever I visit other countries. I always visit the just think tanks, but also startup companies, incubators, etc. Croatia is still unfortunately not doing that well when it comes to investment into R&D, and especially when it comes to innovation. Most of our products are basically modifications of existing products, or some breakthrough research such as in electric car production and IT, which is one of the fastest growing sectors. We've been looking at the potential possibility to sign a bilateral agreement with Argentina on cooperation on scientific R&D cooperation. And so far, actually, institutes from Croatia and Argentina in the meantime have established direct connections and are cooperating directly. But this is a very important aspect of foreign policy, of global policy in general, because the competitiveness in the 21st century is no longer the cost of labor, I mean the low cost of labor, it's actually the high cost of labor, the value-added product that the educated labor can bring to the table, and that is precisely through research, innovation, and cooperation between institutes around the world.
energy and its relation with the environment, I found an application that among other requirements for the United States or part of the European Community was to Croatia energy and its efficiency. And Croatia adopts a law on the use of energy efficiency. And then Croatia adopts a plan of action, a new strategy, and a very interesting system of evaluation. This system, based on the web, but may control all the consumption of energy in the public offices, in public buildings. This system was drafted by the United Nations Development Program and covered, let's say the publication, covered 2.5 million square meters in more than 1,500 of buildings, public buildings. I'd like to know if that system continues to apply.
I do not quite know what publication you're referring to, but what I can tell you about energy policy now in Croatia, especially with respect to environment, of course, it's becoming more and more environmentally friendly. There are two aspects. One is energy independence and diversifying the sources of energy, which is very important not just for the prices for private homes and for the industry, for the stability of the economy, but for political stability as well, especially on in the I completely misunderstood when I heard the first time.
Sí, quería tener una opinión de eso de la señora Presidenta sobre la posición de Croacia con respecto al tema de la migración intercontinental, específicamente desde África hacia Europa. ¿Qué posición Croacia podría tener?
Well, thank you very much. Of course, IT solutions, we are interested to work both ways. We have an excellent IT sector that can sell products, but I'm sure that we can buy the products from you as well. When it comes to migration, it is one of the aspects, one of the realities of the modern world. It's a problem that will stay with us because it's spurred by different reasons, from war, instability, poverty, inequality, but also climate change. Of course, Croatia, with the current economic system, cannot take in many migrants. We have committed to taking about 1,500 people through the European relocation program. But what we stand for is a long-term solution, which can be only removing the causes of migrations. So working for a better life for these people, because most people ultimately want to